So if you've been keeping up with me recently, you'll know that I boosted my Mark V Jetta, and if you haven't, let me catch you up. Over the last year, I've been collecting parts and building the Mark V. I really wanted to boost the 2.5 and I couldn't think of a better time to do it. I've been ripping on it for the last few months and I've been enjoying every second of it. I made an entire video over the process explaining everything in the build start to finish. You should definitely check that out if you haven't already seen it. I actually am really blown away with all the support in the last video as well. Just want to say a quick thank you for that. Anyways, MaxPeedingRods saw some of my content over the Mark V build, and they were kind enough to send me the upgraded version of the same turbo I have. It's the T04E .63 AR street version. Basically, the biggest difference in upgrade between this turbo and the one I have on the car has to be the billet compressor wheel, stronger composite compressor housing, and overall higher temperature resistance. I know everyone has their own opinions on budget-friendly turbos, so to each their own, but I see no issue with it if you're trying to make every penny count. The turbo itself looks really good for the money. On a quality scale, it definitely doesn't feel cheap. The billet compressor wheel has zero shaft play. From what I see, the casting of the compressor housing doesn't have any defects, and most importantly, the reliability of this turbo compared to my old one will definitely give me the peace of mind knowing I have a better assembly on the vehicle.
Alright guys, so I'm ready to go ahead and start to disassemble the Mark V, get this old turbo off. So basically, MaxPeedingRods was kind enough to send me out their T3 street version of this T04E turbo. Really have had no complaints with that one, so this being the reliable big brother of this turbo, should be nothing but good news hopefully. So I'm pretty pumped, definitely excited to go ahead and get this on. Just gonna start by basically disassembling everything right now, like I said, and getting down to just the turbo by itself. That's why I can take it off. So basically for right now, I'm just gonna unbolt this barb fitting from this turbo just so I can hold on to the reference line. This barb fitting is 2 wedged into this reference line hose, so it's not wanting to come out. Alright everyone, so right now I'm up under the car trying to get loose this oil drain line, and then after I loosen up the oil drain line and take that off, I'll be able to free up the turbo from the top. So a lot of time has gone by. It's been like over an hour because I've been fighting trying to get this turbo off, but finally I was able to get this last flange bolt off. I literally forget how difficult it is to get the last flange bolt off right here on this turbo flange because it's hidden literally underneath the exhaust housing, and you can't put anything up in here because the tolerances is too tight, as you can see. So I put a little bit of PB Blaster on this one, and then I basically went from behind with an extension, and it's barely on the nut, but the socket grabbed, so it's loosening it right now, luckily. I should be able to lift up this turbo now off of the flanges. Not the studs coming out. Oh, well. All right, just got the hood exit pipe taken off. All right, guys, mission accomplished. I went ahead and got the turbo off the car. Everything seems good. It's actually still in great shape for as much as I've used it and used it, so, you know, just goes to show you that these eBay turbos aren't what they used to be, that they can actually hold up to a beating, so, you know.
Like I previously stated, these budget-friendly turbos aren't bad for as cheap as they are. I spent $140 on this first turbo, and it's done its job perfectly for months. In my opinion, advances in design and manufacturing have led to more efficient and durable turbos all around. It doesn't really matter the price range at that point, it's just they've been around forever at this point, they're widely produced by so many different brands, the parts for them are readily available, so it makes sense why they're a lot more affordable nowadays, even for nice ones. Because even though this video is dedicated to the new turbo, I just want to say how impressed I am with the old one. Going into this build, originally my plan was to just use the MaxPeedingRods turbo as a mock-up reference, but after I tested the performance, I just decided to roll with it. It gave me no reasons not to. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is the fact that I don't even run a blow-off valve or diverter. It's just straight dosing out of the compressor wheel. I plan on running a blow-off valve here soon with a nice boost controller. Anyways, there's so much back and forth on whether or not it's truly bad to run no BOV on a budget turbo. I personally have had no issues, but everyone will have their own experiences. It's best to play it safe and have some kind of pressure exit, but I'm an example of the fact that you don't have to, especially if you're running Jason's mathless patch on your 2.5T. Alright, this is the part where I have to take some stuff off of the old turbo to use on the new one, such as the oil drain line, which as I see now, I think I had a little bit of a leak. But that's most likely my issue on my end, not anything that has to do with the turbo, just because this oil drain plate and this bung, everything was not with the turbo, so I ordered this myself. Probably just user error, honestly. And then up top, I gotta salvage my oil feed plate as well. The new turbo does come with gaskets for both, so that is good. Well, I'll get the rest of that gasket off at some point. Not too worried about it, but yeah, I got that oil feed plate off. Now let me get the drain. Man, these gaskets are not that good, unless this is what they're supposed to do, which I doubt it. They just peel off. So now I'm going to try to plan on clocking this turbo. First I'm going to clock the oil feed drain housing, and then after that I'm probably going to have to clock the compressor side just a little bit. As for the exhaust side, that one should be fine. I don't think I have to mess with that one. Okay, I'm just comparing it to that right there. That looks pretty solid. I'll go ahead and tighten it up. All right, I got the center section and exhaust side pretty much exactly how it is on the old turbo. Now I'm just gonna focus on clocking this compressor housing just like how that one is. Ooh. Alright guys, so I got the new one clocked in the correct orientation as the old one. If I have to adjust it a little bit on the car, I can always take it back off and go from there, but this looks good so far. Alright, so if anyone remembers from my turbocharging series video, I said that you should not run perforated gaskets, and this is the exact reason why. So, of course, I used a non-perforated two-piece metal OE style gasket on the exhaust manifold. However, for the hood exit pipe itself, it came with this cheap perforated gasket. And so I just went ahead and sent it, but as you can see, they just fall apart. They're just not made good. They're not made to last. So, all in all, I had to go ahead and get one of us metal 2-ply piece gaskets, and this should last, you know, hopefully for a really long time. So, but yeah, I've just been waiting for this, and now I'm just about ready to go ahead and slap the new turbo onto the car. New
turbo in its new home just to test fit it to see if I had to reclock it of any sort. But honestly, it's gonna sit just like this, and I clocked it identical to how the old turbo was, so it should be the exact same. It looks the exact same, so I'm just gonna probably leave it how it is. The oil feed hole is pointing straight up vertically like it should, so I think that we're good to go on that. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it back off, get the nuts ready, so I'll be able to put those on the studs and get it tightened down. It's crazy how fast these exhaust housings actually rust. It's been literally 2 days or 3 days since I've gotten this turbo, and I've left it out of the box for a day and it's already starting to rust. But that's any turbo though, you know what I mean? It's just the composite, the cast metal material of the exhaust housing, so it's just part of it. But I run a heat blanket anyways, so can't see it. All right, so now that I know that the turbo is properly clocked like it should be, I pulled it back off the car, back to the table now, just so I can install the oil feed and drain. I have the new feed and drain gaskets right here. I went ahead and bought a 90-degree fitting, so now my oil feed line won't poke straight up, going vertically up in the air out of the turbo. It's going to actually go backwards like it should to the firewall, and then it's going to loop around the coolant ball. Okay, this looks so close to the manifold flange, this is almost concerning, but I swear this is how the other one was too. All right, guys, so after fighting with this oil drain line for a bit, I realized what my issue was. Since I tried to eyeball clock this turbo to this one, of course, it was a little bit off. So that being said, the oil drain was a little bit clocked too far to the right, and because of that, I wasn't able to fit on an oil fitting line for my drain. So it would literally just hit the side of the manifold flange, and because of that, I couldn't get this all the way on. So, and I mean, even now, as you can see, the clearance is ridiculous. I mean, it is almost touching, literally rubbing, but that's what you gotta do to have good clearance, to make sure that your oil feed and drain are sitting vertically, because you wanna be roughly in a 90-degree angle. And now that I have that out of the way, I'm doing another comparison, and I can clearly see that this turbo sits a little bit too far up, and this one points more out. So I'm gonna reclock this one to look exactly like the old one. I really did not want to pull this on and off the car multiple times just to clock it again. So that's why I am, I guess you could say, doing it the hard way and doing it off the car. But a good rule of thumb now that I see, because now that I know the exhaust side is clocked perfectly, I know that it's just the compressor side. Now that I'm looking at this one, I can see that this bolt almost lines up with this manifold flange. As you can see, this one has almost, you know, a good ½ inch or so. So I'm just gonna push it this way, clock this housing this way, and then I'll just go off of how this looks. Then all I'm doing now, after I got the compressor housing loose, I'm just slowly turning it. So that should be just about perfect now. Now that I have it properly clocked up for hopefully the last time now, I think I can finally take it to the car. Oh yeah. So this new turbo is a little bit thicker, and I'm having a hard issue trying to clock it properly because the oil drain line is not sitting properly how it should. It fits, but I have to put it onto the turbo before I put it onto the car. So now I have my oil feed connected, and I still have to clock the turbo and fully torque it down. Servicing this turbo just got a little bit harder, that's for sure. Unless I'm comfortable with literally clocking this housing this way. So I ran into a little bit of an issue. Basically, the compressor side housing of this turbo actually comes with a bung fitting already installed. And I tried to back it out so I could put my MPT fitting in, and it stripped. Go figure. So, of course, since I already put the oil feed line on basically for good on this turbo, I can't just simply take it back off. I have to undo it from the bottom, which is in my oil pan. I went ahead and just drained it from the oil feed fitting Then of course I'm gonna open it up from the actual drain plug, but got that going right now. But this turbo's been low-key driving me crazy. It just is. Had to pull it off so many times, but hopefully after this we'll be good. Look at the clearance. Like, this is actually crazy. All right, so now I'm just tightening up that reference line with an 11. All right, so I haven't done much filming in the last few days, but I've just been trying to dial in the new turbo on the Mark V, just doing some test runs, driving around, you know, letting it get used to its new environment. I don't really know what the braking period specs are on a turbo like this, but I'm just gonna play it safe and, you know, drive it at least 100 miles or a few hundred miles, something, and then start beating on it. I didn't even, you know, get into boost anything. I'm just driving it like a normal NA car basically, but so far so good. I have to address my oil return line. Has a little bit of a leak, but besides that, everything's solid. Just got this oil feed 90-degree adapter in just so I can make this oil feed look better. I don't like it, you know, sticking straight down. I want it to go backwards and route it around back here so it's out of the way, just so it looks nicer. And I really want to get it away from this charge pipe just because this is a multiple 100-degree line just sitting on my charge pipe that's supposed to stay cold, so it's just heat soak at that point. Got some more clamps in because whenever I put this turbo on, I broke my only 2-inch intercooler clamp, so don't worry, I didn't hit any kind of boost at all. This was just strictly to have it on. I can't even believe I let myself use one of these clamps, but it is what it is. Got a few more in, gonna put that on right now with this, let the car cool off, adjust my oil leak, and then I will update y'all whenever it's ready to rip.